Did you know that you can generate data insights without the use of code? In a recent video, I took this data that was reported on this website here, which is from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and this is a chart related to the Consumer Price Index. And what we can see here is the changes of price of major food categories over the past 20 years from March 2005 to March 2025. And there are several price items here from bananas to gasoline. In that last video, I took that table and I created a heat map from that data using a lot of coding libraries. However, I want to show you how we can come up with that same heat map using zero code. I want to show you how we can take this data table and activate it using the orange data processing user interface and tell a complete data story without any lines of code. Let's get started. As a quick reminder of my last process, on this website here, which will be in the description of this video, I went to show table and simply copied this entire table. And then I pasted this table into an Excel spreadsheet. And that is the data I'm going to be accessing for this data processing library. If you want to see that process, go to the last video. Otherwise, I would just get started from that Excel sheet. So this is the orange data processing software. And as you can see, you start off with a blank slate. And I only have two nodes here. The first node to open files, which was located in this data tab. And by selecting this here, and I simply opened it and navigated to the folder where this data was located. And I have just set some of the attributes for a month to be a metadata. The bananas column was missing some data, so I'm just going to skip that particular feature. Then all the other features are going to be imported as a numeric data type with the role of feature. You can select different roles just by selecting the particular row that you want, or column in this case, and changing it to target or feature. In this case, I'm going to keep that as meta, and these others coming in as feature is exactly what I need. Here, this file type is Excel, as indicated by the .xlsx there, but this also works for .csv files, .text files. You just might have to augment this part a little bit differently. And so we're going to apply that, which is already imported. And then the next step is just to create the data table. I do that by now dragging that data table here, which I already have. And by selecting it, I can now see the table that I've just imported. So here is the month column that I've attributed as a metadata. And you can see the other columns here, the oranges, the bread, and everything else. I'm going to make sure I'm just sorting by month. And now you see we have a data table in our orange workflow. What I told you I want to do is create a heat map. So let me just drag the heat map on this process here by going to the Visualize tab and selecting heat map. Simply drag that over to this area here. And to put the data in this heat map, all I need to do is drag a line from the data table to the heat map. And I open up this heat map, you see that we do have a heat map that is visualized here. Now, I prefer the heat map to be transposed because this would be easier to see, and it is a very simple data transfer process. If I go back to the Transform tab and select the Transpose, drag that on, reroute my data from data table to transpose, and then from heat map to transpose, you see that that connection was severed, and we have a new connection from heat map through transpose to the data table, or rather data table to transpose to this heat map. And if I open it again, you see that we have our data in a wide orientation. So each of these columns would be the time, starting from the earliest point to the latest point, left to right. And then each of the rows in this case are the variables, the oranges, bread, milk, utility, ground chuck, etc. You can see that we're starting to see that visualization that we created in our Python environment without using any code. Now, one of the things that makes this data hard to understand is the original scaling of this data. So in this case, it looks like electricity is not changing very much. And so we can change the range of values to add some more contrast. And so what I'm doing is compressing that range. So anything on the high end would be more red. And if I were to raise this low point, the low stuff becomes more blue. And you can add some more contrast. You can also shift the center point and try to add some clarity to this figure. But this can be really hard to do, again, because the scale of these parameters is so different from each other. Something else we could explore are different color maps. And you see that we have some of our colorblind friendly maps, we have other diverging maps, we have some linear maps. And so you have lots of options for visualizing this heat map. Let me just switch to this Let me just switch to this diverging protonopic map here. And you can see that this allows for greater accessibility. If you know that your audience does not have any visual impairments, you can go to a more classic map. This Viridis is a very classical heat map coloring, but again, be aware of those in the audience. Now we can do some clustering, but I'll show you some clustering after I address this scaling issue, because again, we can see here in the electricity, there appears to be no change in the cost of electricity over these past 20 years, but you and I both know the cost has been going up tremendously. So let's address this here. The reason this is the case is because of the scale of the data. So let's now rescale the data and then create another heat map. To do that, I will stay in this transform tab here and go to the pre-processing node. Once I double click that, it'll pop on my canvas and I can draw a line from the data table to this pre-processing. So now I have two routes there where the data flows and is immediately transposed, and one where I pre-process this data and then I can recreate my heat map. So let's scale this data. If I double click this and drag this window over, what I really want to do is normalize my features. This line here says standardized, where the mean or mu will be equal to 0 and the variance will be equal to 1. So this is z-scaling the data. This is a great way to allow us to see these changes, because instead of the means being very high, in some cases very low, all the mean values would be 0 and their variance being 1 will allow us to see the change in the signal or the change in those prices over time in the context of all the other materials. And there's other ways you can pre-process data by either converting to discrete features or randomizing our features. As you see here, we're in the normalized feature sub-tab there. So let me get out of that and then add another transpose. So I'm simply going to copy that transpose there, drag another line, and then I want another heat map. So I'm just going to copy that node I just selected and copied and pasted. And then I have another heat map. However, because this canvas is looking really wonky, in the bottom left corner, you have this way to align widgets. So I can either push Shift A or hit this pound sign there or hashtag, and you get something that helps you kind of orient it. You can also select everything and drag it. And this will allow you to, again, kind of keep things in a way that's visually appealing, and it allows you to continue to see the flow of data. Another thing you could do is to rename these nodes if you wanted to. In this case, I'm not going to worry about that. Now that we've pre-processed this data, we've transposed it again, and now we can see that with this new heat map and the scaling, the mean is set to 0. That is how the normalization works. And we can see that there are indeed changes in the cost of electricity over time. It has steadily increased from a relatively low number to a higher number, and that's way more obvious now because we've adjusted the scaling of our data. And we can see that there are other patterns within this data that are way more obvious now because of the scaling. Let me switch back to a more friendly color map and let's adjust the range. Let me set the center to 0 because we know that we have set our mean to 0. Add a little contrast for bringing those ranges in. And now we have a really good visualization, a really good graphic where we can either use this sort of color map or we can use the Viridis or other types of maps to tell the data story. But I want to show you something else we can do with this data. As a bonus piece of information, we already have our data scaled. And so let's just look at the correlations over time. Let's look at the things that might be positively correlated with time and perhaps some things that might be independent of time over the past 20 years. To do that, let's go to unsupervised and let's look at the correlations. So I'm going to just click that to add it to this map. And I want to do it off of the pre-processed data. So instead of going just to heat map, I'm going to drag from pre-processed to correlations. And let me just move this here. And now let me double click inside. And now I'm computing the Pearson correlation for all the combinations here. We also have the option of using a Spearman correlation, which just has different math that drives the relationship between these variables, which we can now easily switch back and forth between. And by looking at all combinations, we can see that chicken and electricity are highly correlated with each other with a correlation score of 0.9. These values can scale between -1, which is anti-correlated, and 1, which is positively strongly correlated. And we see that chicken is also highly correlated with ground chuck, perhaps a lot less surprising. Now, obviously, there might be some things that are anti-correlated. In this case, we see that gasoline and tomatoes have a negative correlation, which is kind of interesting and maybe worth diving into. However, this is a somewhat weak correlation as this value is close to 0. So now let's look at how these things are correlated with month. And we see that ground chuck and chicken, meat or beef and chicken, are both highly correlated with time, as are electricity and bread. So these things tend to go up as time evolves. This is that general inflation. And we can see that bread and electricity, chicken and ground chuck. If we look at the spearmint correlation, which is a slightly different way to compute, we're still seeing beef, we're still seeing electricity, we're still seeing chicken. And now, depending on how we look at that relationship, we can see that oranges and bread are still pretty strong as well. We see that gas is not very strongly correlated when we look at spearmint. And if you switch back to Pearson correlations, we see again it is not this gas here, and the unleaded is also not very strongly correlated with time, which is interesting. This might have to do with other factors globally that are not as tied to the general inflation that we have experienced. But this is a great way to start building insights, building models, and of course, building visualizations from this data, all without using any code. As well, you can see that there's many other ways to process the data using DB-scan and manifold learning. We have stochastic learning. We have ways to build models. We can build supervised models here. There's all sorts of ways where without any code and using free software, you can understand a lot about your data. If you want me to continue to do this, where I build a coding notebook and then perhaps attempt to handle some of the processing using a no-code solution, I'm happy to do that. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.